Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to our frequently asked questions series. My name is Verrill with Flow Roofing out of Portland, and this question number 10 is gonna be of a doozy. We're gonna dive deep into this one with a little bit of an intro: residential versus commercial roofing, and I'd extend that into residential versus commercial clients and everything that goes into it. So the differences obviously are the warranties. Okay, if you want to see the true lifespan of any shingle package and you think you're getting a 50-year system on a commercial roof, the real detail is in the fine print of the commercial warranty, where you'll find the actual lifespan of your shingle. The true product lifespan expectancy is going to be 30 to 40 years. You're not going to get a fancy 50-year warranty. You might get some workmanship coverage, right? Because they're vetting their installers better, but you're not going to get that stupid fancy 50-year warranty. That's a bunch of marketing crap. Okay, so now that we're on the same page with an asphalt system, primarily a lot of the other issues arising to the differences, at least on the installation side of things, are going to be relating to the experience of the installer. You're not going to get a pool of thousands of potential installers in the commercial space. A lot of them don't have the insurance requirements, haven't been in business long enough, don't have the CCB licensing for it, don't have the license and bond capacity, okay, and or safety record with their EMR necessary to be able to go through and perform on some of these larger projects, whether it be schools, commercial buildings, etc., and may even lack proper language terminology experience to be able to have a commercial client or a board member or a property manager understand your value proposition and what you can do for their assets. I do what I try to treat my residential people like. For all of you folks out there listening on the residential single family side, I try to treat you like investors. You still have budgets, you still have quality questions, you still have concerns, right? It doesn't discredit any of your concerns. It doesn't mean that any of your concerns are not important. It just means that you may only have a couple interactions, if you're lucky, with a construction event like roofing in your life. I would hope that you're not out there buying roofs every year. So we have clients that buy roofs every year, but they're on the commercial side because it is a model in their business that requires them to either keep developing properties or to take care of their portfolio in a responsible, budgeted timeline fashion. So that conversation is a little bit different on the commercial side. Clients on the residential side, you guys are still discerning, hyper inquisitive, responsible, a little gun shy buyers for the most part. And what we're trying to do here at Flow is actually bridge that gap. You know, I'm sitting here in front of the camera to help bring you closer to our reality and how we operate here at Flow, because I think we're trying to do things the responsible way. It's definitely a slower growth path for sure, because we're trying to avoid any subcontractors, and there's a lot of people here with all the private equity in town and across the country now that are swooping up all of our competition, and they're just becoming paper contractors if not already. So they're taking these fine old legacy family-owned businesses and they're turning them into sales organizations, which are really almost analogous to car sales lots. You've seen these and or heard and or possibly even felt the vibes of what like a high pressure sales situation looks like with door-to-door people. We don't have storm market in the Northwest for the most part, so you're not getting people knocking because they're interested in helping you because you had a storm event. They're trying to sell you some shit you don't need, okay? And so be aware of all that. That if this is my biggest trigger, I've seen this and I've heard of this from my first client ever down in Salem. This gal, we won against the contractor, just long story short. But this gal had someone, and this is maybe all too familiar in construction specifically, and again, I can't speak to anything with siding, windows, paint, foundation. I'm literally up on the roof. That's the only thing I know. What you're experiencing during your inspection can tell you a lot about the company as a whole. and whether or not someone's trying to push you to make a decision right then and there is a massive red flag. Is this person actually a construction professional? Do they do what I'm asking you on my request every single day? Do you do other trades that would potentially reduce your attention to the quality that I'm seeking in the project that I'm trying to invest in? How long have you been around? What is your record like? What is your capacity? How is the management style? What does the communication chain look like? How long are you waiting? What is your wait time for the project? If someone can jump on a project tomorrow, that means their pipeline's dry. It means they don't have any demand. It means that maybe they're not qualified enough to work with. It means that maybe they don't do good work, okay? If someone can jump on your roof tomorrow for a full replacement, it means that no one is working with them. Understand that that is a massive red flag, okay? Now, if a company is structured responsibly and there are more than one show in town, right? They're structured responsibly, which means they can respond appropriately for the urgency of the request. And I'm specifically talking about like emergency services, okay? So for tarpings and fast dispatch, we have tripled our capacity on the small services side because of the demand on repairs, maintenance, and emergency requests over this winter. Biggest eye-opener ever. That when we opened the shop, I thought the phone was going to ring off the hook. It was actually a moderate increase. Obviously, okay, cool. Well, there's someone new there along the highway. Great. Bright-ass orange building. Clean up your stupid gutter pile. That's what everyone's saying, right? And I get it. We will. But with the move to being front and center, it's trying to be able to respond faster to client requests. There's an obvious advantage to being central in a region that has a decent amount of a demand. Portland is not a Portland, the greater Portland area, the surrounding areas, Portland, Lake Oregon City, Clackamas, Gresham, Camas, all those spots, Hillsborough area. We got a billboard out on the coast. Like, we are aiming to try and serve folks in an efficient, smooth flowing way. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. But back to residential and commercial, because I like to get distracted. The implications of the differences between the two are typically that the average residential project for a homeowner may be somewhere between 10 and 20,000 conservatively. Easily, actually. I think our average purchase is somewhere between about 15 and 17. So, and I say on average because there are exceptions. There are folks that are in Northeast Portland that are in less than 1,500 square feet house. That roof may be below 10,000. It will likely be below 10,000. Things that can change those pricings though, and these are really broad strokes here, so don't hold us to it. Obviously, I will say in Northeast, Southeast Portland, parts of Vancouver, you could have yourself a sub 1,500 square foot house and still have a roof above 10,000. Why? Because you have multiple layers, and we check for this. Or with multiple layers, potentially comes the need, if there's cedar on the bottom and you have skip sheeting, you'll need a full package of plywood. So then things will add up at that point. We're transparent about it. You're going to see it in your proposal. Good inspection will catch it, okay? The point of that comment, though, is that residential on average is a smaller package price for the project versus commercial. Commercial folks are just as intuitive and, I would argue, better shoppers because they ask more sophisticated questions. And I appreciate the commercial folks just as much as the residential. It's really hard. We're about a 50-50 split right now. And the commercial folks, they're not considering the transaction. What I feel like they're considering is the relationship. Because typically, more often than not, in the commercial side, it's not necessarily about one property. It's not about one building. And because of that, there's consideration around multiple. Joe is a small property owner that I just met last week. He was referred to me from a backyard barbecue last year in 2025 from a surf buddy. And Joe, is a discerning, concerned, budget-friendly investor. Small portfolio, less than 5 buildings. And Joe is wanting, like any other building owner, the best bang for the buck. And I feel like that's the commonality between the two, residential and commercial, but the commercial are also considering what's called cash flow. And because commercial is analogous to being a business, right? Consider it being a hotel, okay? If you do not have your hotel booked up at the right occupancy level, then you don't make as much money, right? Well, on the commercial side, if a roof is having issues and it's affecting the occupancy rate and half the building on the upper floor can't be booked, right? Because of a roof issue, then you have a cash flow issue relating to your roof. And so that's where the two tie in, is that a quality roofing system will protect the asset to keep it running, to keep it flowing. So that way you can continue on with your business. And if it's done properly and on budget, then that property owner respects the fact that you kept their business open and running, you maximize their budget and gave them the best return, and they'll give you a talk when it comes to a different project. There's no assumptions around the fact that you are entitled or earned any additional business from that entity, but how you treat them during the beginning process and the communication and the onboarding and the inspection process with the details necessary in your proposal. I mean, at the level that we're trying to play at, very, very transparently here, like, I built Flow to compete against the nationwide competitors. I did not build Flow to be the hometown roofing company. Like, I want to go up against the Flynn's, the Cenmarks, the Tech-Does. I want to go up against private equity. I'm very much fueled to the max with a burning desire to make a ripple and a dent in their P&L, because I know how they're treating our neighbors. I know how they're treating your grandparents. I know how they're treating your family or your friends. They're lying to your fucking face. And I've seen it firsthand. It's wild that it's still happening. It's weird, and especially in Portland. But you're going to get this in the market because of the way that the system is set up. You're going to have players try to write the rules of their own game, right? What I like about roofing so much is that it's a relatively good playing field, in the way that we have to install a quality product no matter what. Now, if you can't, then you don't stay in the game, okay? Right? If you can't communicate, if you don't have the respect to the client, residential or commercial, then at that point, you will be phased out, okay? That's the way the market works. And it's not to say that we're immune. It's not to say that we're perfect by any means. It's really the difference of what makes greatness, the cream, rise to the top. And we're shooting for that goal, right? This is literally just an ongoing goalpost. It continues to move. It's a pursuit of perfection. It's never a destination. It's about the journey, right? And so as I'm training the team and we're establishing the standards and the direction that we want to go, and the reason why you want to treat people the way you want to be treated and you want to go above and beyond is because the bar in the industry, even now, it's higher than when I got in, but it's still relatively low across all the different industries. And so y'all really just need to care for our client treat them like family, like a friend, like a neighbor, and overeducate, answer the questions, be there for when they need it, and to walk them through things based on our past experiences to make things flow smoothly. And so I love the fact that in commercial, though, that the client questions are so much more sophisticated. It is more of a conversation about safety, where it's a kind of assumed with residential and steep slope, because there's so much more flat roof, because there's so much more liability involved. The issues that can come across from an OSHA perspective can be a lot bigger, right? I've seen 6-figure fines thrown around. I don't know about any of you guys. I can't afford any of that, right? I don't know if anyone could afford that. It happens. It happens from neglect. It happens from complacency. It can be out of your control completely, right? You can do all of your things, have all of your notes, have all of your documents lined up, and you could still have some guy completely forget, right? That's why you want to have observers, what you're supposed to have on-site supers and all this. There's precautions necessary in the industry to make sure you mitigate those issues. Knock on wood, we've never had a fatality, but I have direct contact with guys on the team. Everyone knows someone who's fallen. One of our old PMs, actually, who I had to let go, I didn't let him go because he fell, but he said he'd fallen twice. I'm like, well, dude, like, that's not good. You're in the roofing. Why are you still in roofing if you can't hold on? I mean, quality individual, good guy, just things happen. Everyone knows this in the roofing industry, but, and this is not secret information or anything, but the owner of one of the largest distributors in the country is a lady who is a widow whose husband fell off a roof. It's real. So the liability in commercial is a completely different game. It's not even just about safety. So we have roofs that are covering literal billions of dollars in property value, and that's not to be a chest-beating number or anything. It just goes to show that we can rock with the best of them because we understand what it takes to maintain and make a system last. It means that we understand how a system ties together to be built to be leak-free so that we can provide a lifetime workmanship guarantee, because we plan on sticking around. These lifetime guarantees that manufacturers throw around are for sales. What we're trying to do on the workmanship side is stick next to our roof the entire time through. We're going to be going on 10 years in 2027 as it goes into 2028. I think my articles show that it was 2017, but I didn't incorporate or do the LLC up until about 2018. Licensing started January, I think, of 18, but it'll be 10 years here pretty soon. And we expect to continue to grow, continue to flow. And the only way you do that is by following spec, continued training, quality communication with your team, your clients, the expectations, and preparation. Chance favors the prepared. I hacked up that saying, gosh darn it. But the liability, the specifications in commercial. In residential, there are many ways to install a shingle, but only a handful of ways to install it leak-free. And if you don't follow manufacturer guidelines, which is a specification, then you risk having a leak. If you install a system outside of manufacturer specifications based on experience, you can be leak-free, but you run the risk of issues down the road. Flow follows the spec. We go by the book. Deviation from what's on paper can create issues for questions around why something was done differently. Maybe industry experience says one thing, but the specs say another. And if a discerning supervisor understands what they're looking at in the roofing industry, they'll call that out, okay? So this is not a project that we have been awarded yet in the commercial space, but it is one of two that I really want for 2026. And it's not a high dollar amount at all. The reason why I want it is because it is one of the highest spec roofs that any money can buy. You would expect this roof to cover the museum where the Monet is or whatever. You would expect the same system to be on top, and the warranties back it up. It's not just about the system or how it's built, but like the confidence from the manufacturers that you follow our specs, you get this high-end warranty because we know it's going to last. We are opting to install another Duralast system on this roof, and that's not to say that the specific Duralast system that we're installing, just any old Duralast system, is the best roof, even though it's in the name. What it means is how that system is built, and in the additional chemistries of what we're trying to produce as a system to protect this asset. It's a prevailing wage project. It'll be a little more expensive. We'll self-perform the thing. We'll get in. I think it'll be about a 2-week project. It's not huge. Again, it's not about the money. It's pushing the team to perform at the highest level in roofing, so that here's where the residential comes in. This is the trickle down. Because we're chasing these dragons in the commercial side of things, in optimizing for protecting assets that are at the upper level of the threshold for our capacity, but still within, we're able to bring those expectations down to residential to raise all ships. And with that, the standards have become a lot more unreasonable for what I call success in the residential side of things. It's helped provide us more supervision, better communication, better quality install standards, cleanup as well. We've never really had an issue with cleanup on residential or commercial because I usually set expectations that crews will get you to about 97% cleaned up, but then your project manager during your final inspection will get you to about 99%. That's going to include nails, magnet sweep, debris, all that stuff. But it will never be a 100%. We put this in our flyers too to make sure you're on the same page. But in commercial, the cleanup can be a little more excessive, right? In a full tear-off situation with an open decking system where there's no ceiling tiles or anything, you could have some dust fly in, right? And on a medical facility that we'd done back in 2024 with this Duralast system, not as high of a spec, but still got the fancy NDL warranty and everything, scored a high 90s on it, it's great, was in there literally vacuuming dust particles, right? Because of all the machinery that was tuned to a decimal point that we can't even see, and really making sure that they're protected from the top down. And there could have been a lot more dust for sure. We mitigated pretty well. But as part of what we'd like to do and going above and beyond is making sure that people working and or staying in the building, whatever they're doing within that commercial property, are able to continue doing what they're doing, right? We don't want to disrupt any business from continuing to grow. And for the most part, if a roofing project disturbs the building's operations, there has to be some sort of access issue, or that roofer may not be as considerate as you would hope to what you're trying to do, which is also chase your dreams, okay? So that being said, there are very distinguished differences between residential and commercial, and the sophistication of commercial folks is very appreciative. Their attention to detail and their quality and their questions are a little more broad than the residential questions that are typically asking more of, I hate to say it, but like more nickel and dime style questions, more around, what was the material and why are you using it? We're getting a lot less like qualification questions, like who are you and what can you do and like how do you do this, or show me some references. And we still provide all that if they ask, but it seems like as we continue to flow, as we continue to grow, that there is a bridge of trust that we're trying to build, and it's getting stronger and stronger as we try to be a part of the community here in Portland going on 10 years. And so we've got big goals for the future in the next couple of years and the next decade after, but one step at a time. We got to take care of the Portland market. It's been taking care of us, and we want to make sure that you guys are protected from the top down. We call it protecting your Flowasis. So we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.